Newcastle United meet Man City for the fifth time this season in the fifth round of the FA Cup. Who will come out on top? And with rumours swirling around various exits and incomings, what does Newcastle summer look like? Find out right here on Toon Tactics TV, folks.
Oh, brilliant from Share. And now Murphy could take on the shot. Fabian Share
All right, folks. I hope you guys are all well. I hope you guys are all blessed. Just found out my mic is not playing through my headphones. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Let me know how you guys are doing. Literally just about to start. My thing isn't working, but can't hear myself through here. But let me know if you guys can hear me. I hope you guys are well. Already a blessing to see people in the chat and everything else. You can hear me clear. Excellent. So why did I not hear that from my thingamajig? Interesting. Interesting. Well, the main thing is that you guys are all here, and that is what is a blessing. Good to see you guys in the chat. Good to see you, Adrian. God bless you. Evening, Philip, in the chat. Evening to you, sir. Good to see my man, Wobojog. God bless you. The Man City result worked out for you quite well, 2-2. So you guys are looking like you're back in the driving seat. Great to see you, my man BT. God bless you, sir. Good evening, Philip, and all those in the chat. Good evening to you. Guys, I'm looking forward to tonight's show because, yes, we'll talk about there's a lot to talk about, really. I will talk some parts about the Man United reaction to the Man United game. I should probably. I was thinking to you guys, why didn't I give it more time? But because we've got the Man City game, I want to do the preview for that for the fifth time this season. Get a tactics board for that. But there's lots of transfers, rumors, a lot more exits than there are incomings. But there was an interesting one from Craig Hope talking about the amount of players that could be going and coming in. And I have been thinking about that. How is the summer shaping up? So I want to go through that with you guys. I want to begin I was going to wait a little bit later to do it, but with everything that's happening, with everything that's happening, I can't do this show and do have the word of the originals. With everything that's happening, I thought it was good to start laying the foundations down for this. But so I'm looking forward to doing that with you, and we'll have a skim through in terms of some of the players, the goalkeeper that has been linked to us as well. So lots to talk about, lots to chat about. Let me know, guys. As always, please do like, share, subscribe. Your views and comments, everything adds the substance to the show. So always, please do that. All right, so let's kick things off with the match reaction to the Man United game. Now, when we did discuss it with Rich, and with hold on, let me put it on there. Great, my camera's going off again. So let me see what I can do. My camera's doing a funny one. Don't do this to me. Let me see if I can do my camera before it goes off. That's the sound. All right, so let me see if I can fix my camera before I do it. Here we go. All right, brilliant. Right, so am I sharing it? Yes, I am sharing it. What I was thinking about, guys, and let me know what you guys' thoughts were. I said it. I gave the right score prediction. I did think it finished 2-1, but as I said in the preview with Mitch, and big up Mitch as well from Where the I'll Sleep. I hope you guys have liked, shared, and subscribed to his channel. And big up also Rich from Red Devil TV. When I gave the 2-1 prediction, it was more, I said it with my heart. And I said it with my heart because I wasn't confident with our form going into this game. And the Everton game, kind of looking back at it, was, I don't know if it was disheartening, but it certainly was, it wasn't disheartening. It was, well, you guys know, too many mistakes, the good, bad, and ugly all mixed into one game. And Man United obviously haven't lost in, I don't know, 10 games or something like that. Carrick hadn't lost a game. And I did note that my main concerns were, at the time, the matchups with Mbeumo versus Hall, for instance, Cunha versus Trippier. And I just wondered what would happen for us if we're caught on the break, with how kind of Everton exploited certain things. But in the game itself, and look, send in your views and comments as always. Talking about Hall and Mbeumo, like, I think Mbeumo is still in Hall's pocket, shall we say. But no, honestly, what I loved about the performances from both our fullbacks, and there's other players, obviously, we're going to talk about Gordon in a moment. What I loved about our players in terms of Hall is he was very much man to man, I feel, against Mbeumo, got him very, very tight before he even allowed him to turn at any point. His 1v1 battles, he had the better of the duels. And not only was it when he got the better of Mbeumo, when he tackled him, he didn't hoof the ball or pass it straight away. You know, he does with like 360 turns. He gets the ball back to goal, gets the ball from Mbeumo with his back to goal, um, twists, 180, 360, 180 turns, gets out of trouble, looks up, either drives with the ball and then passes. I thought he was absolutely magnificent. They've scored him 6.6 on here, but if you, I think Sofa score is wrong. I think he was definitely one of the better players. You can see if Bobby hugging that left flank, obviously, as a left back, but also doing what he can going forward. Not too much time in the penalty box, but he was doing a lot to ensure that we weren't being caught on the break as well. What have they got in terms of a little bit of stats? Where have they got his tackles? Yeah, that's not right. Sofa score. That's definitely not right, in my opinion. But because I thought he was absolutely magnificent. Yeah, Sofa scores is having a mare here. Ground jewels 6 out of 10. Even that I think was more than that, but maybe not. 4 clearances, 1 interception. I thought it was absolutely magnificent. 1 out of 2 accurate. Accurate passes 84%. Passing his own half 100%. Long balls 2 out of 4, 50%, 67 touches. Lets you know again how important it is to us as always. Dribbles, I thought we had way more dribbles than this in my honest opinion. Total carrying distance 140.6 meters. You can see he had a total of 13 carries in this game. 13 times he carried the ball. Progressive carries 2. Total progression 42.8. Progressive carrying distance 55.5. He was magnificent, even with total shots as well. I think he was superb. Now on the other side, Kieran Trippier versus Cunha, he was different to Hallway. Trippier's was less about man to man, but more positioning. A little bit man to man, but a lot more positioning. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. I thought he was captain fantastic in his markings as well. Spent a little bit more time up front than Hall, for instance. But again, very, very similar to Hall down that right flank. But positionally, I thought it was phenomenal as well. And what was interesting to see, I don't know if you guys noticed, how many aerial duels he won against Cunha. Cunha must be 6 foot something, right? And Trippier is what, 5'6", 5'7", 5'8", something like that. And just how many times he's winning the ball aerially, as well as obviously in duel wise as well. Picked up a yellow card, but it had to be done. He was absolutely phenomenal. And the fact that he played, how many minutes he played from start to finish, 90 plus minutes, on the back of the Everton game, on the back of, this is what, third, fourth game in a row, 35, 36 years old, showed total leadership as well. He got an assist as well for the Osola goal. By the way, that assist was absolutely magnificent. That is Trent Alexander-esque. Trent Alexander would be proud of that assist. That was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal from him. And you can already see on his stats here, no matter how maybe inaccurate I feel SofaScore stats are. So compared to Hawk, who had 6 contributions, but defensive contributions, but Mr. Trippier had 16 defensive contributions, 3 out of 4 tackles, 2 interceptions, 10 clearances, 3 recoveries at 35, 36 years old, right? They got 4 out of 10 aerial duels won, but I thought that's nearly 50%. I thought it was a little bit more than that. He got he got passed a couple of times and he made 1 error, but I thought he was absolutely phenomenal. 89 touches from our fullbacks. Can you guys see how important our fullbacks are? 89 touches, absolutely phenomenal. He was fouled 2 times because he keeps on going up front, but also in the air. Got some really, really important. He won some really, really important fouls when Man United were on the attack as well. He made 8 carries, hit the woodwork once. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Another person I thought was brilliant. I know you guys let me know who you thought was good as well. I'll get to the chats in a moment. Just one other person, not Benjamin Sesko. Gordon. You can see already from this heat map, he was absolutely everywhere. I thought he was phenomenal. Even with the way he won that penalty, nicking the ball off of Casemiro, then driving into the Man United penalty box, drawing that foul, and then obviously dispatching that penalty, hitting it straight down the middle. Because if Lemons just stood still, he would be looking absolutely. Gordon would be looking silly. But he ice in his veins, phenomenal nerves of steel. He was absolutely brilliant. Was unlucky to score. We had a really well worked corner, if you guys remember, where the 5-6 of the players went to the front of the post when the ball came in, and Gordon snuck in at the back. Was totally unlucky not to get his goal, not to get his shot off, but really, really brilliant. And this is what I like to see: 3 shots from the game as well. 0.8 expected goals. 2 shots on target. It's what you want to see. You want to see your players to have at least 3 to 4 shots in the game. So he got 3 good. Big chances missed, 1. Then he scored a penalty. 42 touches on the ball, which is good for a striker. He was fouled on 4 occasions. One of them obviously drew a penalty as well. Total carrying distance 138.7. 10 carries in the game. 3 progressive carries. Total carry progression 63.7, progressive carrying distance 84.5, longest progressive carry, so the time he carried the ball with vibes, so 34.5, really, really good. 2 key passes, accurate passes 80%, in his own half 77%, 86% accuracy in the opposition. So he had higher accurate passes in the opposition half than he did in his own, which is interesting. 2 defensive contributions. I think it was higher than that. I thought it was even more than that, to be honest. 5 out of 8 ground duels won. 1 out of 4 aerial duels won. I thought it was the total performance for a striker, for a Newcastle United striker, for us. And I am saying striker because I'm seeing him more and more as a striker. He's ahead of Wissa. He's definitely ahead of Woltemade. He is Newcastle striker. I think that's what he's evolved into in the season. But I thought it was a magnificent performance from all the team. Before I get to the chat, let me just see quickly the overall stats and everything else. But yeah, let me know how you guys feel about the game. Like I said, I was apprehensive, but this is an incredible performance under the lights. Now we had 2.48 xG, so we're more than worthy of our 2 goals. Man United had 1.48. They created a lot of chances themselves. 4 big chances for them, 3 big chances for us. 12 shots for us, 14 for them. It was a decent away performance. Well, ish from them, really. Interesting to see how a lot of their content creators took it well. It's so interesting when they say, "Oh, it's like a final for them." It's like when Man United come to town, they all raise their game. is what they're trying to do is shame us for working hard to win a game, and it's insane. I think they should be shaming their players for not working hard enough to win their game, which is what they should be doing, rather than focusing on how Newcastle treats Man United. And really, Man United, in my opinion, Newcastle's best Premier League game this season was probably the 4-1 victory over Everton away. Does it mean that Everton are on the same level as Man United? I don't think so. But anyway, I thought that was an interesting observation. I'm going to go to the chats in a moment. We had obviously the more tackles because they had the more possession. I think I didn't see their total possession, but I think they had more overall possession. I can't see the percentages, but they had 469 passes, whereas we had 381. I would have gone on Opta actually had more time. What's good though, actually from both teams, a lot of shots on target from both teams. 5 shots on target each as well. We hit the woodwork. I can't remember when we hit the woodwork. Oh, I think it was the early one, the early chance from was it Trippier? It was an early. It might have been Trippier, wasn't it? 6 of shots off target for us, 4 for them. They had 5 block shots. Again, that's us being aggressive in the penalty box, which is good to see. Shots inside the box, 8-8. So credit to them for playing away and getting that. 8 to us. Shots outside the box, 8-6 for them, 4 for us. Good to see us taking more shots outside the box as well, which is absolutely phenomenal. So their goalkeeper had to prevent more shots, 0.53 as well. Oh, and how could I forget to mention Mr. William Musola, who had that terrific goal. I've been waiting for a goal like that. I thought he was absolutely magnificent and a beautiful goal. And if we were to say, what kind of goal do you imagine Musola scoring? It probably is that. I was thinking about Mr. Musola before the game, and what I think is what I thought held him back, or is holding him back. And this is obviously, and I remember Alan Shearer saying this in the prior game that he was watching, and he was spot on. And it was when Musola took a shot, and I think he hit it straight towards the goalkeeper, and Shearer said, he needs to see the picture. He needs to visualize the goal before the ball comes to him. He needs to visualize the goal, him scoring the goal before the ball comes to him. He needs to do that. And, he really, really emphasized that. He was frustrated at it. And I think and I think that comment there is also the wider perspective in terms of, I think, Usola's overall game, where I was thinking to myself, like, what is it about Usola that isn't quite getting him to the level where I can say, yeah, he's a first teamer. And I'm sure, and I don't know if you guys would agree with this. I feel like when Usola gets the ball, not just when he shoots, but when he gets the ball at any part of the field, it's when he gets the ball that he decides what he's going to do rather than prior. So, and you can see in him. And because of that, he often either doesn't see the runs from other people. He doesn't actually know what the plan is. He thinks of the plan when the ball gets to him. And because of that, he misses runs, he misses passes. He sometimes dribbles when he needs to pass, sometimes passes when he needs to dribble, and his shot selection isn't always the greatest, right? And when you see the goal that he scored and what he said and what Eddie Howe said about that goal after the game lets you know that they've been working on this. So the goal itself, obviously, him picking up the ball, passing the ball. I forgot it was to Trippier. He firstly made the tackle. He had the ball, passed it to Trippier whilst under pressure, and he absolutely ran into the Man United opposition half with Malacia trying to follow him. They had no hope. I know people are gonna when I'm saying this, like the way he runs. I'm not saying that he is this player, but his kind of running gait and everything else, it reminds me of Mbappe. But anyway, he drove into that penalty box, and when you're talking about that, all the qualities that are good about Usola, it was that. And then it was Trippier's pass. Without that pass, that goal doesn't happen. Terrific pass. And you know that Osola looked over his shoulders once there, then he looked to the other right side of him, manages to still keep the ball. It doesn't hit, it doesn't go off the other line. Then he almost trips, but he keeps himself up. Great strength. Then drives in, does a couple of step overs, and then incredible shots. Why I mentioned that, he knew what he was going to do with that goal, with that ball before he got it. He knew where he was going to shoot the ball before he got it. So all those things, all those kind of things I said earlier about him not doing that, he did it. He did it in this occasion. It worked out fantastically for him. But why did he do it this time? Both him and Eddie Howe have said this. They practiced that. I think Eddie Howe said he did it 10 times after training. They practiced that particular move, that specific move in training. They practiced it. And because they practiced it, Osola already had it in his thoughts, in his thinking, in his vision, exactly what he's going to do with that ball. And it worked out for him. And this is where you're talking about the extra training coming in, where we probably didn't get a chance to do that because of the heavy schedule that we've got. We are the team that's played the most games and most minutes in Europe, right? And what Osola did, you can see that he pictured that goal, what he's going to do with the ball and that goal before he got it. And it was a fantastic goal, and a goal that's worthy to be a match winner as well. So credit to him. I hope to see more of that, not only goals like that, but more of that in terms of what he does in general play. If he does that, I think, and he does that in the final, I don't know, 15 to 20 games that 15 games that we have this season, because hopefully we get there to the FA Cup final and maybe the Champions League final, right? Then I can certainly see him in our first team going into the next year. So let me know what you guys think about that. As always, yeah, exactly. Wilbur Jog. If you see my thumbnail a couple shows ago for Carabag, if you see it was a kind. I did what do you call it? I was inspired by that Kobe quote and his conference as well. But yeah, it's a fantastic game. For me, Gordon was man of the match for that game as well. But it was a close one with him, Hall and Trippier. Big up to you, Oliver. Oh, good to see you, Oliver. God bless you. Good evening, Philip. My man, registered Kev. God bless you, sir. Good to see you. Told you, Philip, about the Newcastle game. Jeez Louise. What did you tell me again? Remind me. We're going to raise our game or something like that. I wish we could play Man United every day, every week. uh, da, 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 da. Adrian says, I thought Man U got it right early doors, playing conservatively, but our intensity never let them find another gear. I absolutely agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. That was exactly. It was too much for them. And considering we played like 2-3 games in between the week and they couldn't handle that, lets you know just how well we're doing so far in terms of just trying to keep our energies up. Warbojog says, Phil, that goal has me suspected that Mr. Sola is a he who shall not be named Horcruxes. I don't get that one. I think I know who you're talking about, who he shall not be named, but I don't get the last bit. And I want to get it. Oh no, you said something here. You said Phil that he's named Horcrux. Nah, I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I know who you're talking about, but I don't get it. Register Kev says, I said that too, but I did say I had a bad feeling. You did actually. You did register. You did. You and Asha, yes, thank you for reminding me. You said it. I think Saeed TV said it. Somebody else was saying it. I think Rich was sort of like, he predicted the win, but he too was a bit like, boy, I don't know. So it's like we've been winning too much, basically, is coming. So yeah, man, you guys weren't overly not that you weren't confident, but you felt you did feel it coming, isn't it? So fair play to you. You're right. You're absolutely right. So But yeah, man, I'm happy with the result. I'm happy with the performance. We had the higher XG, and we won. And we haven't had too many of those games where we had a good performance, good result. The metrics it was a tight game, but they pretty much point to our direction, to our favor. And again, you can use obviously the eye test. You watch the game, um, and we won. And we haven't had too many of those. And so that's the key about being consistent is to go off and repeat it again. So in terms of repeating it again, now we have Man City into the. So let's shift gears into the match preview for the Man City game, fifth round of the FA Cup. And I have to say, guys, in terms of going into this game, is that um, I really want us to win this game. I'm kind of stating the obvious, but I mean it in terms of like I I think, excuse me, what will help us towards having a strong finish to this season is to stay in the cups. Obviously, we're in the Champions League. It's a tough two fixtures against Barcelona. But if we can also stay in the FA Cup and we've got, if we get through to the quarterfinals, which I think will be played in April, we've got that one extra thing to keep us going at least until April. I think that's just going to be so important. But it's also going to be important with more teams going out. It's going to be obviously we're still going to face. We've been facing tough teams throughout. Bournemouth. I forgot who the first team we played was. Was it Fulham? It wasn't Fulham. It was somebody like Fulham. Bournemouth. Now Man City. Brentford was it maybe even. And we won those games. All we've been doing is playing Premier League teams, but heaven knows, maybe we might get an easy year or one more winnable draw in that quarterfinal, then get into the semi-final, then you never know what could happen, isn't it? So I just think in terms of finishing the year strong, so the season strong, I just think this game is so important. So a lot is riding on it. What Bojog says is that's how Voldemort kept fragments of his soul in creatures, objects to be immortal. I didn't watch Harry Potter, man. I'm so sorry, man. I haven't watched it. Oh, Voldemort. Now you could mention Voldemort. I thought you was talking about a certain player in Marseille. Yeah, but he can't do that. Yes. So Voldemort can't do that. Don't ask Voldemort to do that. And that actually made a good point. You're gonna make me go backwards, but it's true. That's the striker that Newcastle need. And it goes back to the Craig Hopes quote, and again, credit to him. He said this when Voldemort was scoring goals. He was saying that with his unique set of skills, incredible player, he's just a missing piece for somebody else's puzzle, and it's not Newcastle's. Unfortunately, in my view. Big up to you, Nathan. God bless you. Good to see you. We're just about kicking off into the match preview as well. And he says it's a shame this channel gets such low views. Thank you. It's on a bit late. Credit to you for doing it, though. Enjoy your vids. Thank you so much, Nathan. That means a lot because a lot of energy, time, investment does go into it. And you know what? The folks that do come and join in, I'm very blessed for everyone that does join in. Is all the guys that are on with me live, often sticking with me even from the beginning to the end, or even watching the videos, engagements and comments and everything else. I'm truly grateful for that. So, but I really do appreciate that sentiment, Nathan. Really do. That means a lot. All right, so match preview. I'm going to look at City's form quickly, or our form and City's form. I know that we're playing FA Cup, but obviously, you know that I use the league tables to kind of get our form a little bit. Now ours is a bit mixed, right? So we've last 5 games. Who did we win against? Oh, Tottenham and Man United, actually. Top 6 teams, actually. So we've got 2 wins and 3 losses. It's really mixed fortune. 29 games played, 11 wins, 6 draws, 12 losses, -1 goal difference, 42 goals scored, 43 wins. Now, we know that Man City are chasing the league title. They had a slip up, shall we say, against Nottingham Forest, who obviously were fighting relegation themselves. They've got, just like we do, a Champions League game against Real Madrid, a under par Madrid team, so it gives them a chance to also qualify to the quarterfinals. They've got a lot going on, as we do, but in terms of Man City focusing on them, they've got a lot going on, and what I'm hoping is that will distract them from the FA Cup. We'll see. But you can see their last form, in terms of form, their last 5 Premier League games, they've won 4, drawn 1. That last one was against Nottingham Forest away, which was 2-2. One of those victories was against us, 2-1 at our ground as well, obviously. So overall, they are in good form. 59 goals, same as Arsenal, and 27 goals conceded. So one of the best and most meanest defenses in the league. How many goals have we conceded now? Jeez, we've conceded 43 goals. Yeah, we've let ourselves go a little bit. Just a little bit, we've let ourselves go this season. Um, we've got quite a bit to improve. So let's go straight to the tactics board. And now I haven't picked the teams just yet, but I want to be able to. That's the wrong one. Let me know who is in your starting lineups. I think someone's mentioned something. I think someone's already got players that they think are going to start. So as I do this, do let me know who your starting lineups are, and let me know who what's the word I'm looking for? Who your score predictions. Let me know your score predictions. All right, so Newcastle first because we are the home team. Excuse me. So Newcastle first. Here we go. Geez, this thing changes every time. That the display changes every time. How it displays teams, it's mad. It's never the same, guys. I don't mind it. Like, it's great, but it's interesting that how it's like literally never the same. Right. So Nathan says, let me get this drink of water. Right. So Nathan says, call me crazy, but I have a sneaky feeling that Howe starts Hall in left centre midfield tomorrow. I'm not going to call you crazy, but let me know why you think that's the case, Nathan. I would love to hear it. So, okay, let's get our bench, and then we'll start to talk about the starting lineups because we anticipate there will be rotation. When and where is going to be interesting. Livramento we know isn't quite ready. Voltemade is ready. Obviously, Mr. Bruno Gomes is still recovering. So is Lewis Smiley. Okay, so this is the team that started against Man United. Mr. Ramsey is suspended for this game. I was wondering if anyone in the chat knows how long Mr. Ramsey is suspended for. I would love to know because I'm hoping that he'll be back for the Champions. Well, I don't know. Would he be effective for the Champions League game? I don't know. You guys let me know. Let me know when he's supposed to be back. But he won't be playing against City, which is unfortunate. I thought it'd just be Premier League, but it's obviously cup competition as well. The obvious choice, and really, is it obvious? Is it obvious? I was about to say the obvious choice, but is it obvious? Is it going to be Voltemade or is it going to be Willock? That's actually a question in itself. I'm going to leave that hanging for a minute and let you guys tell me what you guys think what he would do. Now, Voltemade, obviously, each game that he's played with lost. It's not necessarily his fault, but obviously there's a lot of conversations about his role in the team and everything else. I'm gonna pick that up in a moment. But you know me, I'm quite sequential, so I want to start from the defensive line first. So Ramsdale, definitely. By the way, I didn't even mention this. The Ramsdale had a fantastic game against Man United. He made about four saves, which were match-winning saves in my opinion. One from Euro, the long shot from Kobe Mino, the shot from Xerxes. There was another shot that he saved that I thought was really, really good. I forgot who it was. That I thought was magnificent. His distribution was very, very good. On top of that, as you expect it to be, I thought he had a very, very, very good game. Now, like I said, keep your thoughts on Willock and Voltemada, who starts in midfield. But look at the defensive line. Okay, so a couple things. Keep this in mind. Some of these players, like Trippier, I can't remember how many Hall, have been playing 3, 4 games in a row. And we've got Champions League coming up. Now, Eddie Howe obviously would want to do it game by game, essentially. But keep this in mind. So when and where the rotation is likely to be is what we want to be able to know. Like I said, I think Ramsdale plays. I think Botman has to come in at some point. And I think either or Hall or both Trippier are gonna get rotated. I'm just not sure which one it will be. It's either going to be, for instance, so Botman. Where's Botman? So Botman's going to come in, and it's either Burn on the bench or Burn as left back. And I know some of you are thinking, "Oh my word, no." Or do you think Hall and Trippier stay, play this game, go on to play Barcelona before we give them the? And then I don't know, when is Livramento due back? They said he hasn't even started training yet. That's the thing. So I'm gonna keep Burn here for, well, no, I'll keep Burn here for now. But I want you guys to keep this in mind. I do think obviously Chow had a little bit of time off because he was sent off. But Hall, no, was he suspended? Something like that. He's suspended, but he's back. So we've got our two really good centre back pairing in the Hall, in Chow, Botman, and obviously we've got Ramsdale. So we've got really good modern day centre backs and ball playing goalkeeper and centre backs. I know Howe would love to keep Trippier and Hall, especially on the back of that performance. But you guys tell me, I just can't see us. Keeping them on. But you might think differently. Ramsey's available, says Adrian. Prem suspension only carries into the league. I heard, do you know what? And I hope you're right. Let me just double check this because I heard that Ramsey, I'm sure it was the reports from the press conference that Ramsey can't play because of the suspension. Can Jacob Ramsey play versus Man City in the fifth round FA Cup? I hope you're right, Adrian, because that solves a puzzle. It says, Adrian, it says he's serving a suspension. He must serve a 1-game ban. Let me double check. But does Premier League red carry over into FA Cup? Let's see. Does it carry reds? So red cards, suspensions, red cards, whether 2 yellows or reds are served in the team's next competitive domestic fixtures, regardless of whether it's a league or a cup. Newcastle aren't going to appeal. He's suspended, Adrian. He is suspended. I have to say, I'm so disappointed. I thought I was hoping to be wrong after after what you said, but it looks like it's he's suspended. So you guys have to come up with whether it's Woltemade or Willock still in midfield. So speaking of that midfield, so we've got Tonali and Joe Linton. By the way, again, I've missed it. Joe Linton had a magnificent game. Joe Linton played angry, but it was an angry that was how do I say it? Channeled, aggressive. He played like 2 men in the midfield. I hope he's fit to play 2-3 games in a row. I'm sure he will be. The way he played, like he's ready to play for the rest of the season. He played superb. Some of his passing and dribbling was good as well. Now, the shooting, there was that opportunity where he should have passed to Gordon, but we are where we are. We can't get everything we want. But I thought Joe Linton was magnificent. So was Tonali, absolutely quality. Joe Linton really, really, it was good to see him. You can say that was the old Joe Linton. That's the first time I probably can say this season that was the old Joe Linton. So they're playing really well. They had a really, really, really good game. Midfield. I'm going to go for Willock. I think Tonali, Joe Linton, and Willock offer us does this thing even work? Okay, here we go. Offer us just seeing if it works. That pace, athleticism, press, ball carrying ability, and we're going to need legs in that midfield because Man City are going to be tired themselves. They failed in the second half against us, and I didn't see the Forest game, but I wouldn't be surprised if they failed in the second half against Forest. And I just think if we can press them with the legs that we have, could really hurt them, in my opinion. So I think Willock starts, but let me know what you guys think. Now, Barnes, Gordon, and Elanga started the previous game. Gordon, let me check something on Gordon because I want him to start, but did he or did he not? So he started against Everton. He played. Did he start against Karabakh no. Solo started, and then and then I think Gordon came on in the second half after 54 minutes. How far does Howe want to keep players? He want players to keep their rhythm, especially before that Barcelona game. He'd want to keep, and he has to be smart. He can't just rotate. He'll need some players to rotate, but he'll need some players to keep their rhythm. I'm going to go to the chats in a moment, but I think for me, Gordon stays. There's something interesting I'm thinking about. Or was thinking about Barnes. Initially, guys, I thought maybe what you can have is Osola on the right and Elanga on the left with Barnes rotated out. this is just pace, power, and everything else. Obviously, we're thinking about Osola in that, had a really positive performance. Let me see something, because something tells me that's not going to happen, but I don't know. What would I like to happen? How many games in a row has Barnes played? Newcastle, Newcastle. Uh, he played against Man United. Did he start against Everton? He did start against Everton. I just don't think he started against Karabakh. No, he didn't start against Everton. He was rotated out against Everton. So I think Barnes stays, to be honest. I think Barnes stays. But I'm going to be interested to hear what you guys think. So let me take Elanga. Does he take Elanga off and put a Solar on? I just don't think he does that either. I think he keeps his front three, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Where's Barnes? Where did I put Barnes? Voltamada, Burn, Barnes. Here we go. So I think he keeps his front three. I'm going to go back to Trippier and Hall in a moment, but I want you guys to tell me. Let me highlight these two guys so you guys don't forget. I don't forget as well, because I want you guys to let me know what we do. Are we going to rotate them or are we going to keep them? Player highlight, Trippier and this guy here. But let me know first, what do we do about any changes to our front line? I'll be keen to know, or any part of the team. Adrian says Prem suspension is only carried into the league. Oh, I read that. I think I read that one. Oh, that's the red card. Bother. It is, yes. Okay, so big up to you, Tim. God bless you. Tim says, hi, Philip. Hope you're well. Thank you, sir. I'm living life to the full. Thank you. For me, rotate, rotate, rotate. And I say that with a desire to still win. Absolutely. Absolutely. There should be no, absolutely. I get where you're coming from. No one should think that, yeah, because you're saying rotate, or even for me, like, we don't think this is important. It's absolutely important. Excuse me. It's just born from realism around the schedule coming up. I agree with you, but what do you think about the idea? And Eddie Howe said this, we've heard it before, around also players keeping their rhythm, so still playing and being involved. Tim was saying no to Gordon starting against Carabao. Not your comment. Oh, okay. Let me know, guys. I really want Hall and Trippier to start, but I can't help but feel, because so far from what I've done here, I've already made changes for Ramsey, and that's because he's off. And I've kept most of the team against City here. But I just feel like somebody's going to get changed. Hold on, let me see. Did Hall play? Did Hall start? I think Hall started against Karabakh. Trippier started against Karabakh too. He played the whole thing. He's got the option of putting Jacob Murphy at right back. Oh, it's a tough one, guys. I just feel like somebody's going to get taken off. I wouldn't want it to be Trippier, though. No, excuse me. I wouldn't want it to be Hall. I would not want it to be Hall. I'm going to leave them. I'm going to leave them for now, but I'll be surprised if we keep that entire lineup. Okay, so we'll keep City squad as it is. I'm sure they'll be thinking about rotations as well. Let me see who they might have coming off their bench. Well, actually, Trafford. Actually, they're going to make changes, aren't they? Trafford, the Reindeers, because he played in the cup competitions. Okay, so Stones is fit. Looks like it. Is Stones fit? Mamouche. Is Doku fit? Let me see. I'm going to ask these. I'm going to find this out in a minute. Nico Kusanov. They've got Lewis Miley here. They're mad. And Bruno G. They're mad. Savino. All right, so let me just do a double check to see who's fit for Man City. Let me share this with you guys. This tab, okay. Who's, or should I say not fit? Okay, who's not fit for Man City to play Newcastle United in the 5th round FA Cup? Let's see. Who's not fit? Who's not fit to play Newcastle? So Nico O'Reilly has a late fitness test to see if he's going to be fit. He missed the Forest game with an ankle injury picked up against Leeds. Guardiola says that the player feels better, but he may not be risked ahead of the Champions League tie against Real Madrid. I hope so. He had a good game against us. Haaland, despite missing Leeds game with a knock, Haaland returned to play 9 minutes against Forest. He is fit to lead, but who's not fit? Goodness gracious. It's all about Newcastle players. So it looks like everybody else is fit apart from Nico O'Reilly. Kovacic, Elaine, Vardio. Okay, so it looks like everybody's fit for these guys, apart from a few players. All right, so I think Donnarumma gets rotated out, and I think Trafford plays. Where's Trafford? I did take him on here, Trafford. Where is he? Where's Trafford? Where is Trafford? Jeez, I can't find this geezer. Oh, here we go. So I think Trafford instead of this gentleman, Haaland, Semenyo, Cherky. They're going to have some rotation in different places, aren't they? Just can't figure out where. Do they rotate Gehi or Diaz for Ake? They're going to be thinking about that Champions League. So are we, to be honest. But I think Reindeers will come in either for Cherky or for Foden. Probably for Foden, I would say. But I'll leave it as that. I won't change too much. Now, the biggest problem for Newcastle against City, in my opinion, has been when City go down the sides here and they exploit our fullbacks. It can be left or right, to be honest. And it's the quick movement, the one touches, the 1-2s. Now, to be fair to them, and it's either balls into either crosses or cutbacks from those areas. It's how we conceded against, the second goal at City. The goals in the FA Cup as well. Not the FA Cup, excuse me. The what do you call it? In the League Cup, especially our ground first, that was a problematic. They will have Rodri. They'll have their centre back split with Rodri in the middle, controlling with the ball, but also being in charge of defending against transition. That's going to be very, very important for them. Silva will be running and working down these particular zones here with either folders or reindeers in these situations, applying pressure. But what you have here, Cherky does this as well. He wanders a lot. And he adds that extra man down the side. So you'll have Semenyo left or right with, say, Semenyo coming in here, Nori on the other side of Cherky. Where's the ball coming in here for Cherky? With the option of Cherky either getting in the ball early, which he doesn't typically do, or doing really, really well, doing these disguised passes down the flanks here to play players in. And obviously, it'll be Semenyo in these type of situations. This is where the problems happen for us. So Reindeers, Haaland, all coming down those sides. They either get the cutbacks or shots off themselves. And Semenyo has been very, very problematic for us down the sides as well. So how we deal with that is going to be absolutely important. And I think Willock and or Joe Linton are going to be pivotal, or Tonali, excuse me, are going to be very, very pivotal in either marking against Turkey and also Chow and others kind of being very important in um, ensuring that we watch the runs either on the inside as well. I Nori would do his best job to be able to either, and I know he can make these runs from the inside as well, but also working down the flank. So the key aim here being obviously getting into this zone. Oh, come on, where are you? Rectangle. Here we go. This is the key. All they're trying to do is get in here as well. But the other part is, depending on what flank they are in, is to get into this zone here, right? So that's what they're going to be trying to do. And we have to be, this is why I think you might see a rotation with Trippier if his energies aren't there. But at the same time, you want Trippier to have rhythm. So I don't know. So it's going to be just crucial what we do here on this side. Now, Willock's going to be here and or Elanga. That's going to be key. But what's going to be key for us to kind of preventing City is how we break on them. It's going to be interesting here. So if the ball does break on our part, for instance, the key for us is going to be to try and take advantage of this situation. Now, Gayhe's really, really good. Really, really good. We know this. We've done scouting profiles on him before. Gayhe's really, really good. I'm going to get to the chats in a moment as well. He's really, really good in being aggressive. So even if the ball does break and the Langer gets on it, he's really, really good at getting to the ball there and kind of getting in there early. And he's also is prone to getting the ball off early as well into the box. So it's going to be very, very key that Elanga gets that ball first, and or if he doesn't, prevents Gahey from getting in those early crosses. So these matchups are going to be very interesting. Elanga versus Gahey, Tonali being there to support. I thought we were really, really excellent on the breaks against Man United. Even, for instance, the Joe Linton chance when he hit it over the bar. How Elanga and Gordon played together. They initially got the ball out, got it onto Joe Linton, who drove with it and obviously shot over the bar. But it's going to be very, very crucial in terms of how we play and how we kind of get out the traps on these situations, in terms of, how we kind of drive with the ball in the situations. Now, Joe Linton was very, very good in joining in those runs. That is going to be crucial. And I think if Elanga has these supports, him and Gordon were really, really good. So it can't just be Gahey and Elanga. We're going to have to show some legs and support Elanga. If he does get the ball, obviously in these situations here, is that we all are able to drive together and try to cause these type of situations going forward as well. What's going to be interesting to see from both City and Newcastle is who has the legs. I think it's going to be I really think it's going to be a game of attrition. So it's going to be really, really important for us in those situations to be able to kind of take advantage of City. But we've also been scoring from set pieces against City or creating chances. That's going to be another crucial thing as well. How we handle that. I think also City in a block, so or kind of defensively as well, have been very good or decent-ish, shall we say, but they're not unbreakable as Forest have found out. Now, Haaland hasn't been on the greatest form. I'm hoping that continues, by the way. Obviously, we all do. Where does Cherky? Cherky's here. Silver's here. Semenyo is here. I feel like I'm missing somebody from City. What we've also been good at is our press and being able to disrupt City. Trafford's very good on the ball. City are going to be trying to split their centre backs, push their full backs up, and that's how their moves start off with their forwards joining in, supporting Haaland, Semenyo on the side as well, and or floating about or kind of exchanging positions as well and trying to confuse us. So it's going to be super, super interesting to see how we press. Gordon's important in this press, and so is Elanga and Barnes, where we're going from there. In fact, Gordon leads the press. I saw him often in terms against Man United, kind of telling the other guys when we should press and when we should not. And these kind of matchups also from our perspective, Haaland versus Botman and or Chow are going to be very, very important. Trippier versus Semenyo, boy, it's going to be. Chow's going to have this is where Tonali is going to be very, very important from our point of view in terms of splitting the centre backs, perhaps with Tonali in the middle, Botman and or Chow in the middle, Hall versus Nunes, Trippier pushing up perhaps against Nori, allowing the likes of Willock to push forward and allowing either Willock or Elanga really to push forward into these positions. So Willock on Rodri, Elanga on Gahey, for instance. Trippier a little bit further up against Nori with Chow, Semenyo, Tonali looking out for your Cherkeys and Botmans like that. So you're going to see these type of matchups with Gordon hopefully blocking the line to Silver as well. So this is going to be really interesting to see how City progress the ball. Now they're very, very good. They don't mind going long with the likes of Semenyo and Haaland being huge figures. But if we can, with a fresh Botman and a fairly fresh Chow, winning these area duels is going to be really, really big. I think Tonali, who's getting better, had a better game positionally against Man United. Him against either Cherky, whoever supports them, Cherky or Rodri, or if they change, whoever's there, whoever's in these positions here is going to be very, very important for City. They're going to hold the ball up. But I think if Tonali's on this game, this really, really helps us. Joe Linton, if the Joe Linton that played against Man United plays against Man City, I fancy him in one-on-ones with whoever they play, whether it's Reindeers or Foden. That's going to be interesting. And obviously you've got Gordon leading the press as well. So set pieces, counters are going to be very, very important for Newcastle as well. Overlaps. Trying to break down City if they go into a mid to low block is going to be difficult, but not necessarily impossible. I think as some games have proven to be, but I think the best chances for us are going to probably come from transitions and from set pieces. City have been notoriously faded in that second half quite a bit, so I anticipate them going into a low block, which might be difficult for us to hold. If though we keep level score or even go ahead, but if we keep a level score for sure, after the 60th, 70th minute, I think the chances of us winning increase compared to City because they really, really fade. So those first 50, 60 minutes are going to be absolutely crucial. So guys, send in your score predictions. Let me know what you think is going to be the result. I'll be really keen to get your thoughts. So let me just see what you guys are saying in the chat, and then I'll give my thoughts in terms of the game itself, in terms of the game itself, the predictions. But yeah, set pieces, transitions. I think second half, when City do go into that, we'll end up going into that low block, depending on what the scoreline is. If they have to chase the game, it's going to be difficult for them, and I think it's going to be better for us. If we have to chase the game, it's going to be the opposite way around, essentially. But if we can withstand whatever they got, and even better than that, if we can be ahead 60th, 70th minute going into this game, I think we've got a really, really good chance of winning this game. But yeah, my main thing is holding Trippier. Does Howe stick or twist? Does he keep them, or does he rotate them? Does he rotate Hall with Burn, or does he rotate Jacob Murphy with Trippier? I think it's going to be one or the other. I think that's going to be absolutely crucial. But before I give mine Score prediction. Send yours, guys. I'm going to read your chats and I'm going to give my prediction. Adrian says, is Livramento not fit yet? He's getting there. They said that he hasn't been training with the team just yet, but last time I also heard he was training out on grass. Let me just double check. When is Livramento due back? When will Livramento be back for Newcastle United? Let's see. He has been running the grass for several weeks and having those cardiovascular fitnesses. He's not rejoined the training sessions yet, but Howe has said that he needs training time and involvement with us before he's ready to compete. So it sounds like he just needs more just training time with the team, like he said. He's a doubt for the City game. They're saying that Barcelona is a target for a return. I think even for Miley, Barcelona is a target for return as well. So I think the City game is just a game too soon for them. So that's what they're saying. Tim says, Adrian, I was talking to Adrian. I think Elanga and Gordon should play against Barca's high line. I think Tripp's experience is needed too. So I'm thinking versus Man City, Wissa up front. I forgot about Wissa. So you might actually rotate Gordon with Wissa actually up front. Was sort of right wing and Shaha right back. Shaha against City at right back. Wow, you got a lot of confidence in him, Tim. Fair play to you. Tim says Botman to give Burn a break. Hall is a conundrum. He needs to rest at some point during the next 2 weeks, so we have to bite the bullet in a big game. I'll be tempted to play Alex Murphy, LB versus Barca. No way, Tim. Why you? No way, Tim. I can't see that happening. Play Alex Murphy. Nah, I don't. I can't. I don't. I think we're in a world of hurt if we do that. To be honest, Adrian says if we can match the atmosphere and energy, we can get the result. I agree, Adrian. I honestly agree. I honestly agree with that. I suspect a goal fest at 4-3, says Adrian. Is hopefully the 4-3 to Newcastle. Well, thank you for sending your score predictions. I think, guys, I would love a 4-3 victory to Newcastle. That would be phenomenal. I think this is going to go to penalties. I think this game is going to go to penalties. And I think it's going to go to penalties either in a 1-1 or a 0-0 type of situation. I had a 2-2 in my head go as well. But either, let's go for a 1-1 or a 2-2. It's not going to be a 0-0, is it? Either a 1-1 or a 2-2. I think it's going to go to penalties. I fancy us to win the penalties. Though I can imagine Guardiola taking out Trafford for Donnarumma to do the penalties for them. I can imagine that happening. But I think Ramsdale is fantastic for us for penalties. I think this game's going to go to penalties. And I think Newcastle will go through in penalties. So that's my score prediction, guys. Let me know yours. That is my score predictions. Agent sent his at 4-3. You guys come and send your score predictions as well. Right, so we've done the match reaction, we've done the match preview. Now I want to talk a little bit about transfers, but like, how do I say it? I want to lay the foundations down. You know what I like to do? I like to do squad analysis as a whole. And I was going to wait to do this before I did it, essentially, if that makes sense. But because events have preceded themselves, and that is, we've had a lot of information, a lot of news coming through. In fact, let me start for this. about potential exits, more exits than incoming news. But let me, I thought, let me start. I'm going to have to start a little bit early in terms of what I anticipate is going to happen this season, because I've been thinking about it for a while, and already it's coming to fruition. Actually, it's kind of been marking itself out now. There's individual things. So, for instance, Craig Hope has said that he said a lot of things. To be honest, he said that Tino Remento, that deal is more than likely to happen, and we've been for that. We've been talking about it. Also, that Newcastle are likely to bring in between 6 to 8 players, right? And this is obviously due to the fact that there's going to be a lot of rotation. Excuse me, a lot of yeah, in terms of exits and incomings. And we're going to talk about some of those in a moment. And some of those obviously are going to be contract expiries, but there's also some first team players as well. And I remember thinking this, obviously we're looking at Livramento. We've got tons of players that teams want, but in terms of players, some of our starting lineup players, there's a lot. About 4 or 5 who've been mentioned a lot. Obviously, Livramento being one of them. And if I was thinking to myself, if I was sporting director, if I was Ross Wilson and Eddie Howe, right, but focus on the sporting director, the owners, and everybody else, and I don't want the fiasco that happened last summer. One of the things, it's not going to stop the other teams from causing fiascos, but one of the things that what I'd be trying to do is saying this, especially if we don't make Champions League with our first team players, is that the most I would, with Newcastle first team players that Newcastle would let go will be 2, because anything more than that, if you're going into 3s and 4s, is sending the squad backwards. So what I'll be saying to the players, and I'll be saying to the clubs, but what I'll be saying to the players is, especially those that are saying that they would be open to a move away from Newcastle, especially if we don't have Champions League, is saying to them, look, we're going to let 2 of you guys go. The only way we're going to do that, though, is going to be kind of like on a first come first serve basis, essentially. So whoever the buying clubs are, whoever are first to meet our valuations for you guys, are going to be those clubs that we would consider selling them to. So obviously City, not just Livramento, but City looks like they've also tied up a deal for Elliot Anderson. So 2 Newcastle and former Newcastle players, both developed by Eddie Howe as well. Obviously, in the case of Livramento, he was started his early developments in Chelsea, but it's Eddie Howe that really brought him to the fore. So we'll be saying to City, we've got a £70 million valuation or something in and around that total package. If you meet it, he's yours. And for any other player that people are interested in, that they're looking to get, you have to meet that valuation. We're only going to sell 2 of our first team players. So if you guys don't meet whoever meets the valuations first is going to get those players. The rest of them are going to stay. I think that's the best that we can do for the players, and in terms of any kind of going for those players that want to leave. Ideally, would want 0 of our first team players going, but if we're going to be realistic in terms of what is likely to happen this summer, then that's what's going to happen. And that played into my kind of calculations as well, in terms of it being 6 to 8 players that could be coming in the other way around. But before I get into the recruitment as well, I just want to add, we're going to talk about it some more, is if we're looking at contracts as well. So if I share this screen, I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, you can. So let me first start off with, this is the players. So there'll be contracts. And I was a bit surprised about some of the news, right? So some of the news as well, which is, in fact, let me get this right. So let me just set this up before I get here. So Craig Hope on a potential Newcastle player exits. Right. So what I was a bit surprised about is sorry, let me just I was just trying to set something up because obviously I was just trying to get the recent news about exits, because what I was surprised about is it's not showing it. There was something I wanted to show you guys. Okay, so I'll do it from memory. So we've got when Craig Hope. I need to zoom in, don't I? Yeah, I need to zoom in. I'm going to go to the chats in a moment. So part of the reason why there's going to be 6 to 8 players, obviously, is because we've got a lot of players leaving. And what I thought was, when I initially thought that we could potentially bring in 8 players, I thought even 6, which we brought in last year, was a high turnover for us. And we're going to want to keep the likes of, as you can see, there's contracts that are running out for Nick Pope, Fabian Schär, Kieran Trippier, those type of players that are part of the player leadership squad. Obviously, we even had some news that was leaked out about Newcastle being concerned about players that are part of our leadership squad, the kind of the backbone in terms of guiding the players, showing exampleship to the players, making sure the squad ethos and morale is kept up, the standards are kept up by certain, more experienced players. And a lot of them are due to run out. Their contracts are going to run out this season. Literally this season, they've got 6 players at the moment. I'm not going to count Ramsdale because he's an option to buy and he's a loan. Though I will talk about the goalkeeper situation in a minute. So there's about 5 players essentially. Is it? Yeah, 5 players, right? So I always felt until recently that, for instance, the likes of Fabian Schär, Nick Pope, and Kieran Trippier, they would likely get their contracts renewed at least by a year. But some of the feedback that's coming back around Fabian Schär, Kieran Trippier, these guys, is that these players aren't going to have their contracts renewed, which I found quite surprising. And if we look at, for instance, the right back situation where we've got Tino Livramento potentially leaving, and then you've got Kieran Trippier, well, that will mean then we need 2 right backs, or at the very least 1 right back with a right centre defender who can probably play right centre back and right back. That's 2. That's just 2 for one side of the pitch for the squad. And I just couldn't imagine us doing that. I thought we'd at least rotate, would at least keep Kieran Trippier, probably sell Livramento because City are after him, and then buy another first team ready or potential first team ready right back. But it's appearing like that Kieran Trippier could go, which is surprising. Let me know what you guys think about it. I'm going to go to the chats in a moment. I mean, I was just trying to look out for news for Kieran Trippier, actually. In fact, let me do this. What has Craig Hope said about who is likely to leave Newcastle this summer? So I'm a bit surprised about that, but part of it is, if players as well, is, for instance, this is incredible. So let me show you guys. This is what I got from Grok, and because I can't find the article, but it did say it. And I'm going to go to the chats in a moment. That's the part I was surprised about, because So Ramsdale is likely to return to Southampton to his parent club. So the goalkeeper situation is going to be interesting. Kieran Trippier and Kraft are expected to leave on a free transfer. So then if Livramento goes, because he's going to go to City, and Kieran Trippier, that right side is there's nothing there. There's nobody there. So that's just for that right side. We're going to have to invest in 2 players minimum, in my opinion, because I really hope we don't cut any corners and don't just buy one right back. Kind of have the situation that we had with Lewis Hall. We've got one left back and one left back in Target in Taggart was a film, was a series, isn't it? So I really thought they'll work hard to have Trippier, and I'm sure they have, but it looks like Trippier is not looking to get that next contract. And obviously, we're going to talk about the first teamers in a moment, but Fabian Shaw is yet to sign a contract extension, add into defensive uncertainty as well. So I want to keep those exits in mind. Because we're gonna drill those down in a moment. So I'm gonna go back to the contracts. Uh, excuse me, guys. Sorry. And good to see a lot more people in the chat. I'm gonna get to you guys in a moment, but I just wanted to finish what I was saying here. So again, when we're looking at the squad analysis, we're looking at the squad, we're looking at the transfers. We want to look at it. I'm not going to be looking at it as, oh, this player I don't like, so I'm going to sell this player. This player, I'm trying to get as much as we think. Obviously, we're looking at player contracts. We're looking at, we're trying to be realistic about how many exits are likely to happen from the first team. So some of our gems essentially. Hopefully, minimize it by 2 is what I'm hoping would happen. Then you got contracts of players that are going as well. Then you've got obviously age and youth and everything else. But then you also got to look at Eddie Howe and what he will think is in terms of trying to keep intact the leadership of the group, and where you can't have so many changes where it's going to be hard to integrate the new players into the team. And it's going to be even harder anyway because it's a World Cup year. So he's going to have even less time on the pitch pre-season, especially if a lot of those players are in the World Cup and they're flying in at different times, to integrate those players into the squad. So we've got to think about that going forward as well. So a high turnover, even though it's exciting to talk about 8 players potentially coming in, a high turnover in a World Cup year isn't the greatest thing in the world either. So I think a lot of these players, I think Fabian Shaw got offered a new contract. I think Kieran Trippier got offered a new contract. I reckon Nick Pope will probably get offered a new contract. But it looks like Fabian and Kieran Trippier, from what we know, isn't going to get that new contract because they don't want it. It's going to be interesting to see what Nick Pope does. He's not going to be our first team keeper, but if he doesn't make it into the England squad, which is unlikely, especially as a first team keeper, what's going to be his main priority? He's 33 years old. He's still Premier League worthy keeper, but just not for Newcastle. We're definitely looking for a first team player, first team goalkeeper, an upgrade on Nick Pope. Is he going to be all right with being second? If he is, I say we should. I reckon he'll get that new contract. But if he wants to be first team player, maybe go back to Burnley, maybe go back, to another team that's newly promoted, then he might not accept, which will then mean that we need 2 players, goalkeepers. But the fact that we've got Ramsdale, who we're not going to offer a new we're not going to buy for the 20 million, for me suggests that we're probably going to keep Nick Pope. So I just wanted to keep those kind of things in line, kind of thoughts in terms of going forward. But also, before I look at my kind of squad analysis as well, a little bit more deeper, is we've got players that are leaving within 2027, so 2 years. We know that it's really important for, that's when teams play. We know that when players got 18 months to 2 years left on their contracts, sporting directors, managers sit down with those players and either decide whether they keep them or not. If they want to keep them, they renew their contracts. If they're going to sell them, they try to sell them the year before. But the year before, they got a year left, right? We know, for instance, and the players that we've got that got 2 years left: Joe Willock, Jacob Murphy, and Dan Burn. You're going to see on my table in a moment that I think Jacob Murphy and Dan Burn are likely to stay at Newcastle, in my opinion, or they have a low chance of leaving. But Joe Willock is likely to leave because I think for some time it's been likely that there's been a lot more kind of conversations about him leaving. So I see those kind of sales happening. But that again adds to, and these are player contracts at the moment. This isn't just focusing on age at the moment, on quality, on any of those things. It's kind of looking at contracts and who's likely to stay and who's likely to not. But it's pointing to a lot of exits. It's pointing to a lot of exits for Newcastle at this moment in time. So let me know what you guys' thoughts are on all this so far. I just wanted to kind of put it on that. So I'm going to be looking at trying to look for the eyes of, obviously, as a fan, but really as a sporting director in Ross Wilson, as a manager for Eddie Howe, and obviously the owners themselves, which is ultimately the owners and the fans really. But we want to keep the team going forward. And speaking from the owner's point of view, and this is going to be a show for another time, is the CEO, I forgot the gentleman's name, Hopkinson or something, came and said he wants to be able to win a trophy in 5 years, not 10 years. They said, how about 10 years? No, 5 years. Okay, we're going to try and win not a trophy, a Premier League in 5 years. If we're going to win the league in 5 years, right, and we've got potential, how many exits this season, and we've got incomings, and what I'm trying to say is that despite whoever exits, the volume of players, the quality of players, Newcastle still need to then build a team, a squad that is a step forward, that is a squad that is better than this current squad going forward. So when we're discussing incomings, I made the point about our right back situation where you could have Trippier and Livermore leave. If our squad is going to be moving forwards, I hope that we don't cut corners and just buy one right back and hope that, for instance, Malik Chow covers the right side of the midfield of the back line, and hope that's okay. We're going to need two, and if Shaw doesn't stay, then we need another right in the back as well. So a lot to consider there. Actually, we might still a lot to consider there. So that's how I'm going to be looking at this today, folks. So this is the beginning. We're not going to be able to get every nuance, every nook and cranny, but I'm just laying the foundations about where my mind is at, and I want to do it with you guys. I want to, rather than kind of do it at the end of the season and stuff like that, I want to begin to lay the foundations down now in terms of where Newcastle are going. So I'm going to discuss what you guys are seeing on the screen in a moment, and I'm going to get you guys thoughts and feelings about all of this in a moment. So let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. All right, so let me get a drink of water first and see what you guys are thinking. And added on to this, we're going to be talking about certainly next week with Bobby Fairview. He's our financial expert, about SCR. Hopefully, Newcastle's accounts will come out, so we can talk about them in detail. We can talk about what's the likely money to be spent. I'm probably going to use this show to. I've got already an amount in my head of what I think Newcastle are going to spend, but I want to see these accounts and kind of see if that will be kind of a confirmation of what Newcastle are likely to spend as well, or I think Newcastle are going to need to spend if we are going to be that team that's going to take things forward as well, be a squad that takes things forward as well. All right, so Tim says, would you rest Hall and Trippier for one of the next 5 to 6 games? And which game would you pick? Would you wait for Miley to be fit for RB? I don't think we should be afraid of clever trading, by the way. No, I agree with you, Tim. Especially with that last sentence about clever trading, absolutely agree with you. It's going to be a tricky one in terms of who he rests and when, honestly. It's so difficult to pick. It's like playing whack-a-mole, in my opinion. I'm really keen for us to progress through the FA Cup. So I'm hoping that Howe keeps at least one of them for the Man City game. All right, Leon says, I'm worried about Bruno's contract situation. Look, we're going to talk about it in a moment, but I don't think it's not looking like we're going to get Champions League. Bruno's 27, 28. He's going to want to play at the top of his uh at the top of his level. But as you guys are going to see in a moment, I'm going to explain in a moment. At this moment in time, I think he's less likely to leave compared to others, in my view. All right. So James says, "Hey Phil, sorry, I thought I was going to miss it today, but a solo goal was something out of this world. Absolutely, and God bless you, James. Great to see you. Yes, Osolo's goal was absolutely phenomenal, and great to have you, James. As always, been incredible." James says Fabian might get an extension due to injury. He hadn't had a full season. I agree, James. Well, I would have agreed until Craig Hope gave an article saying that Fabian is unlikely. What was the result? Fabian Shaw is yet to sign his contract, which is adding to the uncertainty, right? So um, that one seems to be in the air, surprisingly enough. And I think Fabian was looking to leave last year. I think he was, remember, he's got like a sporting director role waiting for him. I forgot which Swiss club it is, but he's got a sporting director, like a director role for him waiting for a Swiss club. So he's looking to move on, and who knows what this injury has caused him. You know, these players are really, really old. Not old like old, but like, you know what I mean? That quality, that gap is quite significant at the moment. And Shah's got his he's looking like to move on to another life. James says disappointing Wolves lost in the FA Cup. Oh, they just lose. I just saw that. I didn't realize we're going to be playing today. What? Are we playing today? We're playing tomorrow, hopefully. I hope, otherwise I'm missing the game. Um, mm, you have to explain that to me. I'm confused now. Tim says, I'd ask Trips if he's willing for one more year to support the new RB if Tino goes. Trips' leadership is gold dust. I agree. But I'm just going off of Craig Hope, and he's like pretty much confirmed that that's what's going to happen, that he's going to leave. And I also think in terms of why this is getting leaked, I think Newcastle are being wise. I think they're being wise in preparing the fan base. I think this leaking of for instance, the Livramento information via Craig Hope and saying that Newcastle consider offer from City, but this still is expected to go through. That's Newcastle just preparing a soft landing for the Newcastle fans. And there's going to be, in my opinion, probably another first team player that will leave, but they're not quite ready to kind of leak that information just yet themselves. And so I mentioned that to say this, Tim, is that it's not Tim. Who was I speaking to? I was speaking to someone about it, but I mentioned that to say this is that is the information on Trippier is to say that I think he isn't signing at this moment in time. I think he's leaving, in my opinion. Tim says, if it was you, Philip, would you recruit for a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1? I'd have Woltemade playing with another striker personally. It's a great question. I think we're going to stick with a 4-3-3. I don't think that's ever going to change. I think there's variations of the 4-3-3 that we play. So I don't think it matters too much of what we see on paper. I think there's variations of how we play. As you'll see, I'm going to talk about it in a moment. I don't think Voltamada solves us is a player with his unique set of skills. He's not a player that suits our style of play. And I'm not even sure he suits this league. I think in Spain, Germany, Italy, he dominates. But with our high pressing, our intensity, I just don't see it. I just don't see him staying. And I think if an offer comes for him, we sell him. And big up to my man Rich from RD United TV. Good to see you, sir. God bless you. Evening to you, sir. Been incredible show we had last time as well. And it was a good turnout for that. Great to see you, sir. Thank you for passing through. Well done for the win. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And if you're ever going to lose to a winning goal, probably be a winning goal like that. I would imagine. All right, so okay, so you're talking to so that's what I think. Right, so taking all of this in consideration, contracts, information being provided via Craig Hope on player staying and everything else, and taking those kind of taking it from the perspective of sporting director Ross Wilson, manager Eddie Howe, owners and everything else. So I'm trying, and obviously myself as a fan, but I'm trying to keep that limited because I don't want to go into too much of, oh, I don't like this player, I want him sold. I want to try and be, what's the word I'm looking for? Realistic, balanced, but also confident, kind of hopeful going forward. So I'm trying to get all these elements right. So what you guys are seeing, and let me, is where I'm at currently, and this is kind of a lot of this is a little bit influenced, quite a bit influenced by the Craig Hope new kind of information, because I would have had a few players in different areas. If you see at the top right, so these are players from those that are from red to, from you got the rag rating at the top, the red, amber, green, high, medium, low. So high or highly likely are the players who I think will exit the club this summer as it stands. We've got Kieran Trippier, we've got Ramsdale, Tino Livramento, Pope, Shaw, Willock, Osola, Target, Kraft, and I've got Alex Murphy there. I do think, and as I said to you guys, that there'll be another first team player who is likely to leave to join Livramento. And at the moment, I'm just going off of news articles, really. But also, news articles really, and trying to calculate in my head mainly because a lot of the exits I think are going to probably happen in the Premier League where the money's available. And trying to understand which positions your Man Cities, Arsenal's, Liverpool's are looking for. So in the medium, I've got Gordon, Tonali, and Voltemade. In fact, let me just go back quickly to the Reds. Right, we talked about all the contract players. Most of them in the Reds are contract players that we talked about: Trippier, Pope, um, whose contracts are likely to run out. I've got a Soledad there because we've been trying to sell him for quite a while actually, and he was meant to go to Frankfurt, so I think that deal will go through. Willock as well is going to go to Fulham. I think that's another deal that's going to go through. Target is Middlesbrough. Um, he's likely to be sold. Kraft is in his last contract. We're not going to renew that. Livramento, I think, like I said, from Craig Hope's information, but also the fact that City have been pursuing Livramento for so long. And I think they'll pay the money and it won't be a problem for them to agree a contract with him. I think he's likely to go. I don't think we're going to pay the 20 million for Ramsdale. I'm a bit surprised a little bit about that because the situation with him. I've got Pope on that's highly likely to go. But if Ramsdale, just speaking to you guys, if Ramsdale's likely to go, Pope's contract is running out. If Ramsdale's contract isn't going to be renewed, and it's been well documented that we are looking for an upgrade, I think Pope's contract is less likely that he goes, and I think it's more likely that he signs a new contract. And I think we're confident about him signing a new contract. So I've kind of changed my mind as I'm talking to you guys. But yeah, most of these contracts are going to be out. The top ones, Kieran Trippier, Ramsdale, and Tino Livramento. But I think it's going to be another first teamer that's also likely to leave. And obviously, I've got Voltemade, Tonali, and Gordon. I hate choosing Gordon in these situations because he's always put into into the players that are likely to leave, and he always stays. And he's the one that kicks up the least fuss, if none at all. And I think he's relaxed about it. But I think he's a fantastic forward, and I think he's grossly underestimated by a lot of our fan base, unfortunately. in my opinion. So my hope is that he certainly stays. I think he adds too much for us as well as a team. And it'd be a shame if he were to go, but he's an incredible player. I wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool are looking at him. We had some news about Arsenal looking at him. So we'll have to see. Tonali's been linked left, right, and centre to your Man Uniteds and other teams. But I think the midfielder market in general is quite big. It's got a lot of midfielders that are available. And I think that he'll be in a lot of teams' list. I think he'll be in the top 2, 3 players. And I think people will look at his contract, 3.5 years left, and know that they'll have to pay top dollar. The noise is coming out from Newcastle is 100 million plus. And if you put that in perspective, Elliot Anderson is rumored to be sold for 70 million. And it's subjective as to who you think is the better player, but the more accomplished player is certainly Tino Livramento, and who's played at the highest level is not Tino Livramento, is Tonali. So you can see why Newcastle value him so highly. Now, Tonali would ideally like to move back to Italy, but there's no Italian club that's got that type of money. So hence why I've got him in the medium. I've got Woltemade in the medium because, again, I'm going to go with that Craig Hope's mantra, which is he's the missing piece for a different team's puzzle. I think if Bayern Munich come back with a 50 plus 60 million plus offer, I wouldn't be surprised if Newcastle sell him. I wouldn't be surprised. And that's not me saying that. I think Voltemada is a great quality. I don't think he's a flop or a dud or anything like that. He scored, how many goals for us already this season. Please do let me know in the chat if you think I'm wrong. But I just think with his unique set of skills, he's a player who is the missing piece to a different team's puzzle, as Craig Hope would say. James says, James says, hi, priorities for me, Gordon and Murphy, Tino Willock and Nick Pope. But I probably not keep Ramsey, and bring in Harris into the main squad, a backup for who he would. Oh, you mean Ramsdale? Sorry, but I probably won't keep Ramsdale. I'm sure you mean Ramsdale instead of Ramsey, and bring in Harris into the main squad, a backup for who we replace Nick Pope with. Interesting. I know that you're quite big on our youth as well. I haven't seen Harris. If he's really good, then fair play. James says, sorry, I meant Ramsdale. There's Ramsdale, not Ramsey. I would keep him. He's showing real promise. He is, isn't he? I was like Ramsey. he's doing well. Oh yeah. So but yeah, big up to you, James. And in terms of players who I think are less likely to leave on the low end, can't get my screen. Here we go. Now, I've got Burn, Joe Linton, Bruno Gomes, and Jacob Murphy. Obviously, Bruno Gomes, our captain, I've got him in the low part, but obviously we're discussing his contract. I think he is open to leaving, to be fair. And Newcastle are rumored to give an 80 million valuation on him. So if we're realistic, he's 27, 28. I think Newcastle will realistically consider any package, financial packages between 60 to 80 million. Now, I mentioned that to say this. Who's going to buy Bruno Gomes between 60 to 80 million? It's more to do with who can afford him at his age. And in my opinion, I'm not saying that he's an old man, obviously, but if, for instance, you got your Elliot Andersons, your Tonalis, your Beliebers, your Adam Whartons, your various other midfielders who are younger, and if you're Arsenal, if you're Chelsea, if you're Liverpool, City, Barcelona, who would you invest in? that 60 to 80 million, and it'd probably be for a player that's a little bit younger. That's not me saying it's impossible, but that's how I've calculated it. Hopefully I'm wrong. Well, hopefully I'm wrong that he never goes, but I've got him on there. Now I've got Jacob Murphy and Dan Burn just because their contracts are due to run out in about 2 years' time. And I think the club are likely to be talking about their contracts regardless. So I think it's very unlikely that they leave, but I thought it's important to still look at it from a sporting director's point of view and say, okay, if I can't agree contracts with these guys and we don't know if we're going to keep them, then it's only prudent for us to possibly move them on. But I think that's very, very unlikely. And I've got Joe Linton only there because I don't think he's got 2 years left. Let me just remind myself how much he's got left. But he has been rumored for quite a bit to be going to Saudi Arabia. Now I know you can't just rely on rumors and try not to do that, but I'm looking at his age. I'm looking at his injury record. When does Joe Linton's contract run out? Is it 2028? Yeah, it's in 2028. So does Barnes is actually, so I should have included Barnes. So does Barnes, well, not really actually. Barnes, Gomeres, Tonali, all those guys' contracts runs out in 2028. So I've put him as low, but I have got him there just in case. So there you have it. James says Elanga, the only reason that I didn't put him in this list, and I would, as I don't think at the moment he'll have any sale on value. He'll have sale on value, but just it won't be. Yeah, it won't be positive. It won't be as much. And I don't think we're ready to sell him. In my opinion, I think there's the best is yet to come probably from Elanga. So if I'm just looking at this, and we're gonna kind of look at positions in a moment, but we're looking at exits. If I look at this in terms of the highly likely players to leave, we've already got a list of 3, 5, 8, 9 players that could exit. That's Alex Murphy there, but and we've got another 4 players from the medium that could leave. I think one of them would likely go. So if we're looking at it, I think there's Newcastle are likely to see the exit of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to 10 players. I think are likely to exit Newcastle this summer. 2 of them being first team players, proper first team players, and the majority of them being all the players whose contracts are going to run out, and with a couple who are, when I say a couple, I'm looking at Joe Willock and Osola, who aren't old, obviously they're young players, but who are on the periphery of the squad, who probably want more game time. And more in the case of Joe Willock, he spent 5 years now, 4 or 5 years in Newcastle. He's probably ready to come back home. He's ready to come back home to London. And they've both been for about 18 months been rumored to leave. So it's a mixture of players that are leaving there. The majority, like I said, are leaving because they're older and the contracts are due to run out. And obviously, I haven't included the likes of Roddy and Gillespie in there, but they'll be there as well. So you can see where the rumors around 6 to 8 players Newcastle are looking to recruit are coming from. It's because so many players, at least 9 to 10 players, to my estimation, as things stand, I think 9 to 10 Newcastle United players will exit Newcastle this summer. And if I break it down in terms of that to the various departments in the squad. So we're going to look at goalkeepers, midfield defenders, midfielders, and forwards. If we've already got it on this screen, for instance, I've got Pope as undecided. Obviously, Ramsdale is leaving. I'll have Roddy. Vladikamos is definitely. We're going to try and exit him if we can. And Gillespie, although I think Gillespie and Roddy will get this. If I leave it just like this, it means we've got no goalkeeper. So Newcastle have been rumored to be looking to upgrade at least one goalkeeper for sure. That's a first team player, obviously Bert Verbruggen, who I was hoping to do a scouting profile today, but we won't have time. But that's how it's looking at the moment. I think we're probably going to keep Gillespie or Ruddy to keep our kind of homegrown quota. But we're not going to go into that too much. But I think it's going to look more and more like this. I think we will, as you said, Pope's contract is due to run out, but I think there'll be an offer on the table for him there. And the fact that we're letting Ramsdale go lets me know that I think we're more than likely to, and we're looking for an upgrade goalkeeper. It causes me to think that Pope is likely to stay. So I think the team is going to look more and more like this. Obviously, with either Ruddy and or Gillespie staying, and hopefully Vladikamos leaving. So that's how I've got it at the moment. So at least one goalkeeper in. Now the defensive situation is an interesting one. BT says Matt Target contract expires this summer. It does. So I think he's leaving as well. You're right. So I think he's on my leaving list as well. You're right. We're not going to be renewing that. James says also this season we need to find a Bruno replacement or even a backup. At this point, that's Miley. That plays at 10 to 9 midfield spots that I believe Bruno plays. Yeah, I think that'll be Miley. I think Miley's the successor to Bruno. I think next year Miley is first team for sure. Like first team. I think that's Miley in my opinion. Especially if either Bruno or Tonali leave. Right, so this is the defensive line. And as I mentioned, so let's start with Kraft. He is leaving. Make sure you guys can see this, what I mean. Obviously, we did the breakdown. Yeah, you can see that. Okay, so let me get back to it. And for those that are joining, I'm trying to look at it from a sporting director, manager's point of view, CEO and owners, and a little bit of the fan. But that's how we're trying to break it down. But yeah, so Kraft is leaving. To my surprise, Trippier is leaving. I am quite surprised about that because, like I said, I think Livermento's leaving. I do think Livermento's leaving. So that right side of defense is going to be super interesting. So I think Livermento's leaving. Our defensive, if you look at our defensive line, our defensive department, excuse me, at the moment it's shaping up as the part that's going to need the most work. So let me get that. For some reason when I do this, I like it to be as neat as possible. It's a weird thing, but okay, because I think we're going to have a little bit more here. So Tino Livramento, Mr. Trippier, and Eddie Howe's been begging Trippier for ages to stay, but he stayed on already maybe 2 more years than he anticipated. And it's off to maybe Saudi or America for him. Kraft, Shaw hasn't signed him yet, so that's undecided. I'm going to put that as undecided. I think we're going to try and get Murphy to move on, but it's less important to the overall. He's a periphery squad player, but I'll put him there. And that leaves us. Wow. Guys, that would leave us with those exits, 4, potentially 5 defenders leaving. That leaves us with 4 defenders left. Malik Chow, Sven Botman, who signed a new contract this summer, Lewis Hall, and Dan Burn. So what that would mean is that Newcastle United needs 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders in their squad. That's a lot. What I suspect will happen is I reckon they're begging, well, they're not begging. They would hope Shaw stays, but if he doesn't stay, and this might, we know that Newcastle are looking for a left back, so we're definitely looking for a left back to rotate with Hall, your Hugo Buenos, for instance. What I think we're likely to do is get a left back, and as we're speaking at the moment, what I think we're likely to do is get a left back, get a replacement right back for Burn, and I think what we're likely to do is to get a right centre back who can play right back. That's my early feelings about it. So we talked about Cassano before, who's a right-sided defender who can play right back, but can play right centre back as well. That's my initial thoughts. But if it's like this, Newcastle will need between 3 to 4 replacements in the defensive area, which is a lot. James says Miley doesn't have that line breaking pass that Bruno has, though. I'd rate Miley more of a Sandro instead of a Bruno. Miley, I think, has that in his locker for sure. It depends on what Miley's been asked to do. And most of the time, I think Miley's been asked to do to keep control of the game. And and to kind of not necessarily play it safe, but to keep control of the game and keep the tempo of the game. I think he can play anywhere in the midfield, and if he's been asked to risk the ball more, he will do it. I think he'll do it really, really well, in my opinion. So I think Miley's more of a he's a between a Lampard and a Carrick for me. BT says Odysseus Vladikamos is due to return this summer. He is, but I'm hoping he leaves, and I think he will leave. Regardless, even if we just loan him out again, I think he gets loaned out again, in my opinion. That's the hope anyway. But yeah, I think we're looking at between 3 to 4 new defenders. Now, midfield is an interesting one. Right? We just spoke about it. I think Willock leaves. And I think it's undecided on your Tonali's and your Brunos. I think it's undecided on them. There's a potential, yeah. As I mentioned earlier, for the folks that are catching up, I do think 2 of our first teamers leave. It'll either be it would be definitely be Livramento, one of them, and it'll be between Tonali. For me, it's between Tonali, Woltemade, and Gordon, who leave. So we potentially would need 2 to 3 new midfielders. Potentially. I think we're likely to need, I don't know. It's a tight one. It's tight at the moment. I'll know more towards the end of the season, but at the moment, as it stands, we'll need 2 to 3 new midfielders. And you can see that the turnover is high if we're taking things as they are at the moment. World Cup year, trying to integrate these players, the new players coming in, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult, honestly. So there's a potential that we could need 2 or 3 new defenders. All right, midfielders, excuse me. So just before we get to the final forward line, and I'll read the chats. But if we just recap quickly, I think we're going to need one new goalkeeper, potentially 2, but I think one new goalkeeper. I think Pope's contract gets renewed. I think we're looking at between 3 to 4 new defenders. It could be 4 if Shaw decides to leave. And I think we could be looking at between 2 to 3 new midfielders. No, sorry, between 1 and 2 midfielders. 1 and 2 midfielders. So I think Willock is leaving, and I think there's a potential for one of our first teamers to leave. So that already has, at its max, I don't think this will be the case, but at its max, you've got 2, 6, 9 already. But I think it's going to be more like between 6 to 9 at the moment. Now, forward line. And before we get into it, let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Let me get a drink of water. And send in your thoughts, man. What do you guys think about all of this? For those that are watching, I'm trying to take in the perspective of the sporting director, of the manager, Eddie Howe, of what the CEOs are saying, trying to see what the journalists are saying, me as a fan, but to a more limited extent, and what's realistic and what's not. I think if you're sporting director, the maximum you're going to allow to leave, and you're the owners, in terms of first team players, is going to be 2. And I think to make it, if you've got first team, especially if we don't get Champions League and first team players are going to want to play Champions League, we've got potential 4 to 5 players who could leave from the first team. You'd want to say to them, we can't leave, we're not going to let all of you leave. There's going to be a maximum of 2. Whatever club meets our valuation first, it's going to be first come, first serve basis. We're going to let them go. So I think that's I hope that's the scenario. Because anything more than that, then I don't know why Hopkinson CEO is telling people we're aiming to win the league in the next 5 years. Not if we're selling 4 to 5, 6 of our first teamers, which I don't think we're going to do. So that's that's the criteria and guidelines I'm looking at the moment. I've tried to break it down into low and medium and red, amber, green in terms of who's most likely to leave. We looked at the red, ambers, and greens, and do look back at that. And obviously just breaking it down from position to position at the moment, department to department at the moment as well. So Adrian says, that's crazy amount of rebuilding. No summer holidays for rules. Well, Eddie Howe deserves a summer holiday, and we need a sporting director who's finally going to work over the summer. So yes, and if he wants to make sure he gets a holiday, Ross Wilson, he'll be doing a lot of his work right now, which I think he's doing. And I think that's where we're getting the leaks through Craig Hope. Him getting all this information on Kieran Trippier, on the potential, offer being accepted for Tino Livramento. So, I think a lot of that early work has been done, in my opinion. Okay, and last but no means least, the forward line. Now, I've mentioned that I think Woltemade is in the medium range, or in the amber, who could leave. Gordon, though I wouldn't want to see him go, and To be fair to him, he's not. At least he hasn't been publicly angling for a move, which is credit to him. But you never know, because he's a very good player, and elite clubs will know that. But I think Osola is likely to leave. So far, where it stands for me, I will note though that Jacob Murphy is in his final 2 years, and yeah, Jacob Murphy's in his final 2 years. So that's a situation we've got to watch. So what that leaves Newcastle at is potentially having to bring in 1 to 2 new forwards potentially. Um, you're right, Adrian, and everybody else that's thinking this. Even this year was a year of transition. This is a huge rebuilding job. So, like I said, at its max, we've got two players that could leave. We've got 2 plus 4 equals 6, plus 3 equals 9, plus 2 equals 11 at its max. I think it's more likely to be 1 plus 3, which equals 4, plus plus 1, which equals 5, and plus 1 equals 6. So I think we've got a chance of between 6 to 11 players who could leave. So that's quite a wide. That's quite a wide range I've got there. So 6 to 11. Sorry, 6 to 11 players that we could bring in. So when they say 6 to 8, it makes sense. But there's a chance that we could have 6 to 11. For my in terms of incomings, I don't think we're going to get 6. I think we're likely between 6 and 7 players that we could get. So that's the first. I wanted to lay that foundation. It's probably going to change as more news comes in as the season progresses. We're going to be looking more at the finances next, in terms of next show, next week, because the Newcastle hopefully should have released their accounts. So I'm going to be looking through that with Bobby Fairview and just seeing how much money Newcastle are likely to spend or have the ability to spend. But yeah, let me know before we close up. Let me know what you guys think of all of this. I mean, it's an incredible. I'm very surprised. I wouldn't have had so many players because I thought Trippier, for instance, likes of Trippier and Shaw would probably stay, but there's big uncertainties around them, which leads to excitement about new players coming in. But there's considerations about how we're going to integrate a new team, turnover with the World Cup and everything else. It's looking more and more like a rebuild job at this stage. James says keep Voltamada, Usola, Elanga, and Barnes. So you would sell. Does that mean you'd sell Gordon, Wisser, and Murphy? Okay. James says forward this. Yes, I want to give him another season. Voltamada. Fair play. Fair play. Fair play. Fair play. For me, I think if we get a chance to sell him for 50 plus million, we go for it. That's my initial thoughts on that. I think we'll go for it. All right, folks. So huge, huge summer ahead. But what is in our favor is that, or the positives is that we are a different club, a different team to the one that had the takeover. We still got a lot of quality players that I think that are likely to stay, and really we're just building on them. You know, if we, we've, um, you know, if we're building on defensive line of Malik Chow, Botman, Hall, for instance, and Byrne. There's a lot. There's a lot there to go from. Even our midfield of Jacob Ramsey, Miley, and or either Bruno or Tonali staying with Joe Linton. I think we've got a real good foundation there. Forward line, you know, um, Barnes, Elanga, Wissa. I know they get a lot of uh, criticism, especially Elanga, but I don't think it's bad. I do think the forward line it's going to need some major investment. But if we manage to keep Gordon, that's why I think keeping Gordon is such an important thing. If we keep Gordon for another season whilst having Wissa, I think this forward line changes a lot. And I think in terms of building for this forward line, I think we've got a lot going for it. I think we can build on this. So I think Gordon will be a huge miss should we sell him. In my opinion, we'll make a lot of money, lots of money, but it would be highly problematic. It'd be very difficult to replace that many goals with an adequate striker. So I think Gordon and kind of building on that. But mainly, yes, we've got a lot to build on. I think we've got finally an infrastructure in the manager, sporting director, and CEO to do that, and we've got the finance to do it and the financial headroom to do it. Obviously, we're changing to SCR. We're going to be talking about that, but we've still got the ISAT money. We've still got the previous money from the previous transfer windows. So I think we've got a lot to go on there. So it's not. I hope I haven't pictured. I don't think I have pictured doom and gloom. But there's a lot. There's a lot of rebuild. There's a lot of transition. I think my only concern, if anything, is that if we manage to recruit 7 to 8 players, between 6 to 8 players, is integrating them in the World Cup year is going to be problematic. But it's going to be problematic for every other team as well. So that's why I think Eddie Howe staying, being consistent there is also important. But let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Like I said, before we kind of move on, but like I said, this is just the foundation. We're going to be doing the finances. We're going to be looking at the incomings going in, and we're going to be adding and changing. We're going to be updating this all the time. So if news comes that Kieran Trippier has renewed the contract, we're going to change and update this table. Shaw's signed a contract, we're going to update this table. Gordon signed a contract, we're going to update the table. Or Tonali and Bruno signed a contract. Hopefully, God willing, we signed the table. We update the table as well. So if I had it my way, if you were to ask me in terms of our first team players that were to leave, between all those that we've spoken about so far, like I said, I think Livermento's a given, in my opinion. I think he's going. But I think out of all the other players, I think Woltemade will be the other. So if Newcastle, in terms of first team players that were to leave, were to lose Livermento and Woltemade, even though they're quality, I would prefer to lose them as opposed to Bruno, Tonali, or Gordon. That's my initial kind of thinking and thoughts. I think that'll be a successful from an exit point of view, first team exit point of view. That'll be a successful summer, and I think we'll still be able to make good money. We'll make 120, 130 million plus from that, added to what we've got already. So that'll be positive. But let me know your thoughts. We've got folks in the chat already. James says, just looking at the numbers that Ross brought in for Forest, he brought in around 8 players last summer. He did. He's no stranger to bringing in a volume of players. I'm trying to keep in mind Eddie Howe, who wouldn't want that volume of players. But at the same time, because of the World Cup year, the high turnover, the when you're bringing in six new staff in any working environment, right? Never mind a working environment, if you can imagine 25-man squad. We know there's academy players, we know there's more than that. But for the argument's sake, say we've got a 25-man squad. Say we've got anywhere between, I don't know how many players I said, I think, that could leave, or how many players that could leave. Say anywhere between 3, 5, 8, 9, anywhere between 9 to 10 players that could leave, and then 6 to 8 players that could join in a 25-man squad. That changes the team. That changes the feel of the team. The various nuances and dynamics and all that has to, and between the players themselves and relationships, but also that also will impact what's on the pitch itself in terms of the team gelling and people knowing the tactics and Eddie Howe being able to integrate those guys. And with the World Cup year, where you're going to have less time on the pitch, it's going to be very, very difficult. So what I'm saying is I don't think Eddie Howe would want such a high turnover, but I don't think he's got a choice either. Right. So, Register Kev, good to see you still here. Really good to see you, sir. It says you should get a garter when you take to Nali. Ah, man, goodness. No, thank you. No, thank you. I think we're looking for another player. I'll prefer Mateus Fernandez, but I think we're looking at Lamine Kamara. BT says, I do not see the club buying 6 or more players. I do not think we have the money to bring 6 players. Say 40 million per player, that would be 200 million at least. Yeah, we do have the money and we do have the financial headroom to make that purchase, BT. I think we do. We certainly have that space to do that, especially with the players. Remember, we made a lot of money player sales wise last year. That was with PSR. And with the SCR, I think we have a little bit more. We're going to find out how much more, hopefully next week, once the accounts come out and we find out a little bit more how SCR works and what that would mean in terms of financial headroom for Newcastle. But we've governed ourselves very, very well. And I think if you also add on top of the players that we're likely to sell this summer, so like my early kind of estimates in terms of, if I go back to what my early estimates are in terms of money that we could make from player exits, if I was just to look at this and add one of these players, so say for instance we sell Voltemade and Voltemade and Livramento, at the minimum, I think we're making between somewhere around 120 million, around there. I don't think we're making too much from a lot of the other players, but if you add Osola and Willock in that, probably another between 30 to 50 million. I'll be conservative. I'll say 30 million with them both. Though I think it'll be probably about 40, but I'll say 30 million. Then we'll probably bring in another 150 million from those player sales alone, added to what we did last summer. So I think we can afford it, and I think we'll have the financial headroom to do it as well, in my opinion. James says, I'm guessing this is not including Champions League prize money, so maybe a little more than that. Let me know. What do you mean? Let me know what you mean by that, James. BT says, with all these top players that we have selling, these players mean that we are a selling club. No, I don't think we're a selling club. I think buying and selling players is a natural a natural thing that happens. I think what a selling club is what Brighton are, is what Brentford are, and they're proud to be selling. They're a proud selling clubs. They say our unique selling point is bringing in raw talent, developing, and selling it at a price. That's not what Newcastle are trying to do. What Newcastle are trying to do is build a team that wins leagues and wins cups, and they've been very vocal about that. The only reason that we're selling players is because we're forced to due to the financial regulations that are put upon us and put upon every team. So we would not have we would if we could have if we were allowed to would give those players the wages that they want, right? And we'll buy the players and we're able to buy the players that we want. But we have to sell players due to the financial regulations that are put upon us. So I don't think we're selling club because that's not our unique selling point. That's not our objective. Our objective, if you listen to our CEO, and I'm going to believe him for now, is to win the league. That's not Brighton's objective. That's not Brentford's objective. That's not Bournemouth's objective thus far. I think Bournemouth's a little less compared to them. Adrian says such an extensive rebuild would need few academy products coming through. Not sure any of the youngsters are ready. I agree with Adrian. And that's what we said. I don't know if you remember, Adrian, but I was saying this, and a few of you guys were saying this as well last year when we were doing the transfer window. And I was saying, because we're looking at Liverpool's squad last year. Liverpool had 67 players in their squad, in their actual squad, who were academy players. If you look at Trent Alexander, Curtis Jones, Bradley. This is why building this academy is so important for Newcastle. Like for real long-term sustainable success, it's your academy. Absolutely. I agree with you. Register Kev says, I believe Tonali, I believe, is definitely out. Why do you believe that, Register? Let me know. I'm undecided because there's not many clubs outside the Premier League who can afford him. And for the clubs in the Premier League, there is slightly more cheaper options available. So I think it's harder for them. And Newcastle have set a high valuation. So, but I'd love to hear what you think. James says, I think you'll see a lot more South American players coming because they price out cheaper than Europe and they will take 5 million for a player. It's massive for them. Yeah, I think we're definitely lined up to do that. I think especially if we're looking at, for instance, if we look at our defensive line, that right side, if Trippier and Livramento go, you can imagine we'll buy a first team player there, but then a backup, if you want a cheap alternative with talent, you can imagine something like that happening. So yeah, I agree with you. I think that's definitely something that could happen. He is. Mateus Fernandez is very, very good. Mufti says Newcastle only turn up against United. I was talking about this earlier. No, I would turn that around and say, why don't Man United ever turn up against Newcastle? You haven't turned up for the past 5 years. What happened to you? No, that's not true. We haven't played badly every game until we played you. We smashed up Tottenham. We've had great games against in Champions League, FA Cups. So I think you just. I think if you want real progression for your team, you would focus on them. I'd say, why are Man United not turning up against Newcastle? Are you still scared of us? It's like the World Cup final. I hear you, man. Why is it not your World Cup final? Or do you want to get battered every time you play us? That's what I'll be asking. Register Kev says because of all the growing links, he has his agent out looking. He does, and I do agree with you. But if we take into consideration what I said earlier about there being a big market of midfielders available, some of them cheaper than just about cheaper, but of good quality, with Tonali, and the fact that there's a limited amount of clubs who could afford him in the first place, I think that's why I've got him as medium. So, but you could be right. You could be right. It's a difficult one. It's a difficult one. Um, right, folks. So you've been absolutely incredible as always. We did the reaction to the Man United game, the one team that we want to turn up for and whip. Being sarcastic, but no, it's the lowest form of wit. I'm not gonna stoop to those levels. No, we beat them. We had a great game. We performed well. We got the result that we deserved. So we did the reaction to that. We won 2-1. Then we did the preview for the Man City game. And you guys are fantastic, giving your tactical views. You looked at the forms of the team with a tactical breakdown for the teams. You gave your predictions and your team lineups as well. I do think I gave my prediction. I think we'll go to penalties, and I think Newcastle will win on penalties, in my opinion. Hopefully, and also we did this transfer stroke squad breakdown. We've laid the foundations of what Newcastle's transfer window is likely to shape up. Is looking like it could shape up to. Craig Hope, Newcastle's journalist, has been talking about 6 to 8 players coming in. As it stands, there's also a lot of exits as well. I think I had about 10 plus exits. So a lot of change indeed. BT says when Eddie identifies top talent early, it often means he's spotting players before they explode in value. These are exactly the type of players the big clubs love to poach. Yeah, but we're on our way to being a big club, in my opinion. Uh, we'll get you. That's the spirit. That's the spirit register. That's the spirit. But yeah, we did that. We've laid the foundations for that. So going into the summer, hopefully next week with Bobby Fairview, we'll be able to do a financial breakdown. Should Newcastle release their finances as well, we'll do a financial breakdown. But we want to answer the question: how much can Newcastle spend under the new SCR and with the new accounts? How much can Newcastle spend? And we'll add the up of the squad going forward and say how much will they need to spend going into the summer going forward as well. But like I said, folks, you've been absolutely phenomenal. Some of you guys have been here from the beginning to the end with me. And whenever you've joined as well, you've been phenomenal. You've been liking, you've been sharing, you've been subscribing, you've been commenting, you've been bantering, you've been adding your 2 cents worth to tonight's show. You've been absolutely incredible as always. And I want to wish you well. And most of all, I want to say, guys, God bless you all and take care.